leg press, and foot placement. Let me show you how those are connected to quad, hamstring, or glute growth. All right, guys, you know, if you follow this channel for a while, you know my love for the leg press. And, you know, a question we get a lot of times is, Chris, like, where should my feet be? Should they be high? Should they be low? Should they be wide? Should they be narrow? What stance? Where should my toes be? In, out, or neutral? And if I'm saying an all-around encompassing statement, where, I'm gonna say is where you're the strongest. Because at the end of the day, that's where you're the strongest, that's where you feel the muscle the most, 9 times out of 10, right? I know on this piece where I'm the most powerful, that's where I had the most connection with my quad. So I'm gonna get him to swing around and I'm gonna show you what I mean by, for me, when John used to write, put your feet where you feel the strongest, I'm gonna show you where I did personally. You see how this is a split platform leg press, meaning there's a bend. If your leg press isn't like that, it doesn't matter to me. Because honestly, if we're focusing on quads, I'm gonna be in the bottom half, I'm gonna focus on hamstrings and glutes. For the most part, I'm gonna be on the top half. So if he wrote in the program, Chris, work up to a hard 10 with your strongest foot placement. Let me show you what it is for me. Right here. So that's just outside of hip width. My toes are slightly out. This is where I'm gonna be able to move the most load and I feel the most of my entire lower body recruiting, meaning my quads, my hamstrings, and my glutes. If I needed to press weight off of somebody to save their life, this is the position I'm putting my feet in. But for some people, that's not it. Maybe some people feel better wide. Maybe some people feel better with their toes out. Maybe some people feel nice and strong, good narrow, depending on how wide their hip girdle is. But for me, this is where I'm the most strong and where I connect with my legs the most. So if you ever see me talk about it or write it, this is what I'm referring to. So I want to start here with the placement. Okay, so the most common question is, how high should I put my feet up on the platform, right? So for quad focus, I want to be as low on this platform as you can go without causing negative knee pain. So if right here you're getting some knee pain, just move it up a little bit. And then maybe right here you're golden. Okay, fine, this is great for you. I don't want to put my feet in a position where it causes negative pain, meaning in the joint. I want all the stress on the muscle, not on the joint. So again, for me, if you watch any of my videos, right here is where I choose to go for quads, maybe a touch higher, somewhere in that range, wherever I'm feeling with that day. But for the most part, if I'm targeting quads, this is exactly where I'm gonna go in terms of height of my heel to the bottom of the platform. Okay, now you'll say, okay, what about high? So if I'm up here, right, that's gonna be, for me, a ton of hamstring. So you see that, where I'm coming down, that is trashing my hamstring. So if I had a hamstring specific day, I would have no problem putting my feet high and wide on that platform. And if you notice, even instinctually, I put up and then turn my toes out to where I can see my knees out to my rib cage and really engage those hamstrings. Now, you might ask, what about the middle? Well, some people are very strong right here. For years, I used a Nebula leg press at a split platform like this, and I put the bend of my foot right here because I felt great. So my toes are up, my heels are down. And this felt incredible for me. I moved a lot of weight, and I was very strong, caused no knee pain. So again, in terms of height, this is kind of what I would consider an all-around leg builder. This is more quad focused, and this is obviously more hamstring dominant. So we covered north to south. What about east to west? So let's start with the most wide. Now, if you watch this video, you'll see that I had my feet here, and I was targeting specifically my adductors. So for me, the wider my stance is, the more inner thigh I get. So if I'm here, I'm gonna get some quads still, right? But I'm getting a lot of adductor when I sink these deep. Also, this stance, if you have tight hips, tends to be a good, strong, powerful stance because you can sink these down. Let me show you what I mean. So here, I can sink these babies super deep, and that feels really, really good for me, right? So what you think about is opening up that hip girdle. If you want to work on your depth and really lengthening that VMO, this might be a great stance for you. Just know that by taking that wide of a stance, you're also going to get a lot of carryover for your adductor. Now, next, let's go to the next most extreme. So narrow. So, I mean, listen, I've seen people write programming, right, where their feet are all the way together like this. This just feels unnatural and feels like it's binding my hips. So whenever you see me do narrow, I'm going to tend to go right here. So this, to me, I feel this a lot in my quad sweep. So John used to call this the V stance leg press. Feet low on the platform, toes slightly out. And then what I want to think about here, sink these where you're comfortably low and then up. You see I'm kind of like folding them out like a ballerina. Very Tom Platt style. That feels crazy good for my quad sweep. I love this for quad sweep. Now, am I as strong at it? Of course not as I am, say, here, but this I feel a lot more specifically in my sweep. So if that's something you need to grow, this V stance, killer. Don't be married to a leg press that hurts your knee. I really challenge you there. So no matter if you're super wide, narrow, not super narrow, but narrow, or a more moderate width stance, go what feels the best for your hips, knees, and ankles. Next, something we need to address is toes, right? So this is 12 and 6. This is what I would consider 10 and 2. And then this I would never do. So toes in pigeon-toed, no, hell no. Take that out of your vocabulary. Never would I recommend that. So cross that off your list. Now, for neutral, what you'll find is some guys say, Chris, in a fully neutral 12 and 2 position, I feel my quad sweep activate like crazy. If that is you, do this and never question it. For me, for quad sweep, I like more here. So my toes slightly out. If I want really to nail my adductor, I don't mind going here, right? Like I showed you in that video. Like this right here is all adductor. And that's toes way out. That's like probably 10 and 2. And honestly, what I like more is probably 11 and 1. So 11 and 1 there versus 10 and 2. I can't even really get to that. I would never do 9 and 3. So with your toes, play around with it what feels natural. For me, if I'm looking to be strong and give me no knee pain, I'm telling you, right here, toes slightly out. Not north and south, slightly out. I just feel super powerful. I can get deep, and I feel zero pain in my hips, knees, or ankles. So with your toes, play around with it, see what feels comfortable. And then if you're trying to specifically target your quads, really play with what feels good here with this or fully neutral. Do some reps, do some hard sets, and then see where your pump goes and let that dictate what stance you choose there. All right, and final piece here, single leg versus B stance leg press. So let me show you, he'll get him to swing around from behind and we'll show you some of those reps. So if you notice, I think a big problem that most people have with single leg is they try to put their foot dead center. When you look at the alignment of ankle, knee, and hip, it's this way, it's slanted. This feels terribly binding for my hip. I'm never gonna do this. So for single leg, slide that baby over. Now look at that alignment. Much better, I feel strong again. I'm here, look at that. Quad touch my chest or my rib cage. Bam, just like that. This is hammering for me. This is a hamstring glute exercise. Even though my foot flew on the platform, I feel very little of this in my quad. Now, will I get a quad pump if I do a ton of reps and a ton of sets? Yes, but most of this for me, I feel hamstring and going into the bottom portion of my glute, which is why I like pairing this exercise on a hamstring and glute day as opposed to a quad day. So again, let me show you a couple of those reps. And it doesn't matter if you're in right or left leg. Let's show the other one. You still want to offset that leg. Take it deep. If you look, I'm taking this hand. I'm going to grab that handle and drive my hip into it, right? Because most people have a tendency to like pivot their hip and cheat. No, drive yourself on the sled, keep your pelvis square, and press. Good deep reps, pressing through that heel. Now, an opposing thing that I see some people teaching now is a B stance. If I'm being 100% transparent with you guys, I haven't done a ton of these, only because it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You'd have to do 10 here and then 10 here. That just feels kind of awkward. Could you do it if you do like it? I just want to show it and teach it. You could do a B stance. I'd rather just do a single leg or a double leg, normal. Again, someone way smarter than me, I'm sure can come in the comments and tell me why the B stance is more effective. But I just hadn't spent a lot of time in that or with it, and no one's ever taught it to me. So again, tinker around with both of those, the single leg and the B stance, see if you like them both. And if so, put them in your program and start working. There you have it, guys. All things foot stance and leg press. Take all these principles we talked about. And what I really challenge you guys to do is go into the gym and try work sets at every foot placement. And that may mean you do your entire quad portion of your workout in this leg press. And guess what? It's not a big deal. Do it. Hog the leg press for the entire hour. It doesn't matter. Because as long as you're working, no one's ever going to complain about it, right? This is how I learned. This is how I got better as a bodybuilder, right? Just experimenting. I didn't need someone with a fancy science degree or someone with 40 years of experience. I'd see someone do it on a YouTube video or in a magazine or, you know, see a giant dude with monstrous legs in the gym doing it. I'm like, huh, I wonder what that feels like. And then my next leg day, I'd try it. And then I'd make a conscious decision to say, man, that felt great. That felt okay. Or maybe I just need some more practice at it. Or the last resort is, let's say it just felt like garbage to me and my structure and I threw it away. And 9 out of 10, I would come back to that 2-3 months later with an open mind and try it again. After 2 or 3 attempts, if it still feels terrible, then I will throw it in the trash. But for the most part, what I want to think about here is just experiment. I challenge you guys not to be scared to go in the gym and try. You know, there is no such thing in my mind as a perfect plan. To me, the perfect plan is the one you enjoy, look forward to, and crave every single workout. That's the reason at 38 years old, almost 2 decades into this, I still get fired up like a kid on Christmas to come here and train. I crave this. And it's because I'm not scared to try things outside the box or new or, be experimental, because that's how we learn. That's how we, get better. And that's how, if no one ever tried new things, how we ever be able to advance the weightlifting world or the training world or the muscle growth world, right? Like, I love trying new things, experimenting with them, tinkering with them, perfecting them, then teaching them to other people. And then the most rewarding part of that is watching those people teach others. So again, get in the gym, try all these leg press techniques out, do the ones that feel great to you. And until next time, like, share, and subscribe. Presence TV.